couple of things I wanted to talk to you guys about that NORML's getting into right now, and about a section of the penal code that I found that I thought, when I originally found it, was a really awesome section until I had a prosecutor explain it to me. Basically, what's going on with NORML right now? How many of you guys went to the conference? Put your hands up. That's a pretty fair number. So you guys remember hearing Cheyenne talk about how we need to be forming alliances with other groups and trying to really expand our presence, to have more legitimate representation when we go down to the Capitol in 2015. So what Cheyenne did is she reached out to the NAACP in San Antonio and had a very warm welcome with them. And that's surprising because the NAACP is for what organizations go, they haven't historically supported our cause. And to be honest with you, they really still don't. But they don't support open legalization of marijuana, but they do support decriminalization. And that's a step in the right direction, because in Texas, I hate to break it to you, we're not going to go from locking people up for felonies for hash to full-blown legalization. Decrim is an obvious first step. So having the NAACP's help is really going to push us and make us look a lot more legitimate. And so I reached out to the NAACP in Dallas, and I've been speaking with Dr. Wallace down with the NAACP. And it looks like we're going to be having a meeting, probably not in August, more than likely in September, with the NAACP up here trying to form another alliance. And that brings us into why I'm reaching out to the NAACP. The ACLU recently released a report, and in this report is probably one of the better reports that they've done, where they've actually broken down statistics by state. Typically, whenever you see federal or marijuana arrest or incarceration rates, you'll see it federally. So you'll see 856,000 people arrested in 2011 for marijuana possession. But what the ACLU did was they brought it to a very local level. They said, this is what's going on in Texas. So in Texas, we see 1 in 9 black children have a parent in prison for marijuana possession. 1 in 9. 1 in 17 Latinos have a parent in prison for possession. And then just to compare the disparity between our minorities and the whites in this country, 1 in 58 white kids have a parent in prison. The disparity there is unreal, and it's disturbing. And I think that alone should prompt people to pursue a legalization or decriminalization to help kind of level the playing field. We shouldn't be committing atrocities against blacks in 2013. That's stupid. We're committing modern Jim Crow. It's a modern Jim Crow law. We're creating an entire culture of young African Americans that can't vote, have no political voice, and can't do anything with their lives other than continue to hustle and continue to get felonies. And that will segue me into the penal code section that I found, which is 1244A. And when I read it, I interpreted it as a person who is busted moving something can, rather than go to federal prison, they can go to a local state prison or a county jail, and they can, it was designed to be a real rehabilitative service to help get people back out onto the streets. So rather than doing 3 to 5 years in a prison, they would do 6 to 8 months in a local jail. My interpretation was wrong. So I reached out to a former cop and a former prosecutor for a statement, and this is what they told me. It's kind of linking, but he said on 1244, this is primarily a class difference in impact as it applies to other drugs more than medical marijuana, or more than marijuana, including hash, where possession of any amount applies. The current level of marijuana possession at which 1244 becomes relevant is 4 ounces to 5 pounds. 1244A applies to state jail felonies, essentially 4th-degree felonies with penalties of 180 days to 2 years in a state jail felony. And he said that it intrigues him that when the law was passed, creating state jail facilities, the idea was, like I said, to create a new type of prison that was to rehabilitate and focus on addiction counseling and job training to help get these people back out into society so that they can be a productive person. And he said that, however, from what he understands, the massive amount of tax money allocated to this exciting little program went into paying private companies to help build and staff state jail facilities. The programs were in place, but only for people who agreed to spend much longer in a state jail facility than usual. I think so. If you're there for 6 months, you'd have to stay for 12 to get your counseling. He said that he thinks that it was something like 18 months minimum. Class is the context in which 2 very different results impact the likelihood of arrest for someone living in a neighborhood where zero tolerance tactics direct police to act in ways that they'd never dreamed of acting in a different area. Second, a kid with family resources can plead guilty but take a deferred adjudication, during which time he or she is on probation. He or she will be able to do so in part because those resources can cover the fine, court costs, monthly probation fees, and other financial penalties. During that time, he or she may fail drug tests and have other offenses brought against them, but thanks to their family and their resources, they can also take care of those, compared to spending time in jail. However, compared to the kid without deep family resources who can't afford the fine, can't afford the court cost or a good attorney fee, ends up being credited with a certain amount on the basis of time served, but even if the time served covers it, he or she still faces probation fees and other costs along the way. He or she is deciding what to do, sitting in jail, not on bond or probation fees, but this is not written very well. Basically, what he's saying is people who are taking the 1244A are really getting screwed. In a nutshell, he was saying that he said that he's never seen a white person take a 1244 plea, or to take the 1244A, and that he said that it's only been in his experience applied to black people, which further goes to why we need to be working with the NAACP. So you guys reach out and talk to people. Building these alliances with other people, especially really credible, really legitimate organizations like the NAACP, is really going to help propel us along the way. That's all I got. I appreciate it.